Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about crime and punishment within Islam. You know, that super progressive subject that is guaranteed for monetization.
Are quite straightforward, such as the thief must be an adult and that he must be sane.
And do we have the distinct pleasure then of removing limbs once confirmed that they are indeed an adult and sane?
However, there are other conditions that are very particular.
Well, isn't that sweet? You're now going to showcase some parameters that try and make it seem as if it's not anywhere near as violent as it actually is, to, once proven, remove someone's limbs as a punishment for committing that crime, or to downplay the severity of that punishment, or make it seem as if Islam is beautiful because look at all these guidelines we have to make it look like we're not at all barbaric.
These calculate every single societal trouble that the person might be experiencing and that is causing that person to steal.
Yes, I can imagine with all those videos that we have seen with people having their hands removed, or amputated, as punishment for stealing, that the people who in fact were putting them on trial, or that Sharia court crap, had in fact taken this into account, the mitigating factors. You know, this is irritating. So for this, I'm going to call on someone for something I haven't asked for in quite some time. Oh, sandwich wench.
Howdy, Lord Omegon. This is Chagrin and Barrett, and I'm about to make you a sandwich and a cupcake. You enjoy that sandwich and cupcake. See you later. Bye.
That was amazing. Please go subscribe to Chagrin and Barrett. Channel link in the description. Now let's continue with this utter nonsense.
For example, if the thief is being forced to steal, is facing famine, or if the thief goes and repents to the judge and promises not to steal anymore before the theft can be proven, then the person is saved from punishment.
Those are quite interesting. The one that stands out to me is the one going to the judge before it is proven they have stolen. I would love to know how that takes place. Like, does the person simply go up to the judge at the stand and beg for it before the evidence is shown? I can imagine the prosecution simply dangling the evidence behind them while they repent as a simple way of negating this process. I'm not entirely sure if due process actually exists in countries where this is enforced anyway.
Also, the stolen good must be above 1/4 of a gold dirham, which equals roughly $150. If the worth is lower than that, then the thief does not face corporeal punishment.
Yeah, you should definitely tell that to groups who don't agree with that. And just act anyway and decide that's what you should do. Simply get rid of those pesky limbs. Once a thief, always a thief after all, right? Can you imagine someone trying to... Just as an interesting point, can you imagine trying to implement something like this in the United Kingdom? Or in the US for that matter? There are some imams like Anjem Chowdhury, who has been prosecuted a number of times, and been given airtime on things like the BBC, which... irks me, where he has stated that rather than obeying the law of the land like Islam teaches, along with many other things, it is the more Islam comes first, and so he wants Sharia, which I don't like at all. I don't support. It is a barbaric court system, and the fact that there are people who actually use it in this country, use it in any country that is democratic, is a shocker, because it is not a democratic system. Trying to portray it as such with having these little, rather patronizing gestures does not help anyone, and there are people who just lose limbs cause reasons, because my interpretation of Islam is superior to yours, or whatever other nonsense reasons people give as an excuse to bring a machete down on someone's wrist.
So, as you can see, it's very hard to fulfill all of these conditions.
Tell that to the rather large number of people who have their limbs removed every year because of this barbaric process.
Hence, amputating the hand or several fingers is actually an extremely rare punishment in Islam.
And I'm sure you have a mountain of evidence that supports your oh no, never mind.
But why make such a punishment when it hardly ever takes place?
You may as well ask, why are you 400 years behind the rest of the world that is slowly but surely eradicating capital punishment? Why are there people still preaching in the West that this should be something we should live and strive for, as some kind of living utopia?
The answer is equally simple as it is genius. It's put into place to scare people off of thieving in the first place.
Priti Patel, MP Conservative, during the the one before 2015 general election, she said we should bring back workhouses and bring back capital punishment. There is a video of this, in fact, and she defended it with the very same excuse. Deterrents are good, but the very fact you would then enact the very capital punishment to begin with is what bothers me. Using violence as a threat is an absolute and one I do not support. I will never support it. If someone commits a crime and rehabilitation is unsuccessful, I am all for sticking someone in a tiny little cell to live out their years with nothing to live for, but keeping them alive for as long as possible, because I want them to suffer that way, provided rehabilitation doesn't work, of course. And it's very hard to rehabilitate somebody when they're missing hands. This is why I don't support physical violence as a solution. You put your cards on the table, you've shown your hand, and it doesn't work. That's why we still have people getting executed on death row. It doesn't work. People will still commit crimes. Yes, not a large number, but a number nonetheless. And we should do everything we can to either save that person from themselves, rehabilitate them, or, again, like earlier stated, put them somewhere where the sun doesn't shine, put them somewhere where they can watch themselves age, knowing that their life was an utter waste.
Still not convinced?
Not now, not ever.
Let's remind ourselves that according to the World Health Organization, in Islamic countries where certain crimes, such as theft, are punished through amputation or public flogging, these crimes are effectively reduced and eliminated.
Now do me a favour and tell me about the ever so slightly more heinous crimes within the Islamic culture. For example, rape. You know, that shining beacon that should never be celebrated at all. The one where the victim should not be made to marry the person that committed the crime, that crime. Or how about murder? I can't imagine that's tolerated as much. I would surmise that executions become commonplace at that point. Or how about the crime of being homosexual? That's a pretty big crime. We can't have any of those horrid little fags running around being all faggy and stuff, shall we? The tiny, insignificant crime of theft, with the threat of loss of limb, which directly impacts upon their future in a whole myriad of ways, is quite frankly ridiculous. Now, when we focus on crimes that are far more severe, like rape, with the punishment being what I earlier mentioned it to be, it is quite surprising how much hypocrisy, double standards, how much bullshit there is within Islam.
This, however, can certainly not be said about non-Islamic countries.
What?
What do you think?
Wait, you're just going to leave that previous comment hanging and end this with a question? I'm starting to see why this got so many thumbs down. Congratulations on making a video that is just chocker full of insightful commentary. It really made me think about my sandwich wenches, who I would never cut off their limbs. They need them to make me more sandwiches. Thank you all for listening.